Hey guys, welcome to the Sub-Zero Wolf Cove test kitchen here in New York in the city. We're really excited to have you all here. Joining us today we have Chef Isaac Bernstein, resident expert on sous vide. He's going to be doing his thing. I'm not going to take anything away from it. We'll let Isaac. We have Chef Philip over here. He is the test kitchen chef, and together we're going to be doing some kind of Caesar chicken salad.
Sure.
We're calling it salad, I'm not sure. And we're also going to be doing some really good roast or steaks. I'm going to give it over to Isaac. Isaac's going to take over and do your thing.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming, Isaac.
All right, well, thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, awesome. My name is Isaac Bernstein, and let's talk about sous vide. So, sous vide is a huge subject. An hour is hardly enough time. That being said, you're going to pick up a little bit of everything. If you're inexperienced, you might pick up like 10%. But it's a 10% to start with. If you're more experienced, you might pick up 50%. And you know what? We can take it from there. And if you're really experienced, I don't know, you're probably better than I am. But I'm gonna do my best to teach you something new today. Now, when I think about sous vide, the first thing I think about, why am I using sous vide? There has to be a reason to it, a purpose. And every preparation I'm doing today, sous vide has a different purpose. And the first thing I'm going to start with is a vegetable. Why? Because it annoys people that I want to sous vide a vegetable. And you know what? Right now, I'm in control. Okay? Yeah? You got that? Yeah? Okay, so I was talking about Urbane for a second. I had a weird flashback to high school. But anyways, let's take a look at cabbage. Now, why sous vide cabbage? Because I want to grill this cabbage. I want to make a delicious, sweet, caramelized crust on this cabbage, and I want the inside to be tender, molten, and delicious. And the only way I'm gonna be able to do that is by sous videing it first. I mean, I could bake it really low in the oven, then put it on the grill, make sure it doesn't fall apart with a lot of babying. But the sous vide method is gonna make it a lot easier for me to pull this off. I'm gonna start with cabbage right here. We have, this is a perfect sized piece because I'm gonna grill it after. We leave the core in, because if you take the core out, grilling it is gonna be a lot more difficult. It's gonna fall apart. Now, we also have some plastic wrap here, just as a good general primer. Whenever I put herbs into a vacuum bag, I always like to put some plastic wrap around the herb. Otherwise, wherever the contact of the herb is, it might be a little bit too intense for some of our palates, mine included. So I just give it a little roll like this. I leave the ends open. That way, when it's touching the cabbage in the bag, it's not gonna overly flavor it. Just like that. Now, I also have some chicken fat, which chicken fat, duck fat, cabbage, it works so harmoniously together. It actually takes the cabbage from being just a vegetable to almost tasting like a meat entree. It's just really special. And we're just gonna put a little bit like that right over there. We're gonna mix this all on the cutting board. Of course, we gotta season that up. I got some salt and pepper right over here, already mixed. Because we're efficient like that over here at Fleishigs. Next, I'm going to take a vacuum bag. This looks like a nice vacuum bag right here. I'm going to put my cabbage in, and as I'm doing that, I'm smearing up some of that chicken fat.
If you don't have vacuum bags,
If you don't have vacuum bags, we're gonna get to that shortly. We're gonna do another method. But for now, we're gonna do the vacuum bag method. You know, we gotta walk before we start running, guys. Here we go. Put a little more chicken fat. You wanna know why? Because why not? It makes it a lot more delicious. Fat is flavor. Now, it doesn't mean the more fat you put in, the more flavor you put in, but the right fat in large quantities could really enhance a product when used as a cooking medium. So right here I have that cabbage, I have that thyme, I have the chicken fat, salt, pepper. What other ingredients did I say I'm putting in there? I think that's it, right? I'm good. Now I'm going over to this super bougie Wolf chamber vacuum sealer. This is like a Rolls-Royce vacuum sealer for the home cook. If you don't have one of these, you can also use a food saver for this. Oh, it even has a clip. It even has a clip right there.
yeah, we don't play it.
Don't play it. And it's just going to start vacuuming. Now this is a super fancy vacuum machine. A food saver at home won't do this. What this is doing is, this is completely changing the atmosphere within the vacuum sealer, pulling out 99.9% of the oxygen, creating a super tight seal around all the product. A food saver won't pull out that amount of oxygen. Also with a food saver, you're running the issue of fat leaking out. So it's a good little nifty trick to vacuum your fat first. You see how it forms around it? Now, this is actually not a tight enough seal to my liking, so I'm actually going to set it even tighter so it compresses a little bit, and then I'm going to re-vacuum it. Go. And actually, if you get close enough, you'll see in a chamber vacuum sealer, you're going to see all those leaves separate, and then when it seals, it's going to compress it together. Then again, a food saver doesn't do this. But a food saver, if I'm vacuuming this, I'm going to make sure the duck fat's extra cold. I'm going to smear it on the cabbage. That way, when the food saver is sucking it out, the duck fat won't go towards the opening and mess your machine up. And we're just about there.
So essentially line 3 is our highest setting. We use like the line 1 for something delicate, like a bit of raspberries or berries, so we can crush them.
It's also great for storing lettuce on that lowest setting.
So I mean, this machine isn't really just for sous vide. You're using it for saving any.
We use it to make quick pickles. We can compress vegetables and fruits to add flavors. You can marinate steaks with it to really infuse flavor into a steak. You can also use it to cap any leftover wine so it doesn't spoil.
Well, while this is vacuuming, we can start talking about the sous vide where we're going to cook it. Which isn't a sous vide, it's more of a combi oven. It's an oven with steam capabilities. So what you have here is a perforated pan in there, and you saw all that steam came out. The difference between this and a steam oven is, here you can set a very low temperature, and the oven is going to keep the product at that temperature consistently. At home, we have sous vide baths. Not everyone has this luxury. So all you got to do for something like cabbage, you set your sous vide bath to 196, and you put your cabbage in there for 45 minutes to an hour. You actually want to test the firmness of your cabbage when you take it out the first time, so you get comfortable with the textures, the time, and the temperature. Wow, that's amazing. Look at that. See how tight that is?
The difference between this oven and a regular oven, you're saying a regular oven cannot get down to the same temperature?
A regular oven can't get down below 175 typically. Also, without the steam to regulate the temperature throughout the oven, throughout the cooking process, you're never going to be able to hold it at an accurate temperature. So we're going to put that right in there, and then we're gonna cook that until we're ready to grill it up. So now, we did cabbage. Let's talk about chicken, because I know you're waiting for me to get to chicken, right? Because let's do something that we do every day. Now, one thing about chicken that's really great about sous vide is chicken really showcases sous vide because you're achieving textures you can't get through conventional cooking. So with sous vide, we can cook our chicken to 141, which I would call a medium cooked chicken. So that sounds kind of creepy, that sounds scary, like medium cooked chicken. Chicken's supposed to be well done. Well, pasteurization doesn't just work off of temperature, it works with time as well. So with chicken, when you're cooking it at 141, and then it hits that temperature of 141, and you hold it there for a few minutes, you are pasteurizing your chicken. And therefore, it is safe to eat at that low temperature. I don't recommend going below 141, but you know, do your research, do your homework. Now we have the chicken breast. In here I have the garlic oil, salt, and pepper. Typically, you can also just take this whole concoction and you can literally dump it into the bag, but I do like to make sure that my chicken is evenly seasoned by just putting my hand over it real quick. Now, I'm gonna do the chicken breast, I'm gonna take the thyme wrapped in plastic wrap. I'm gonna do one breast in this nice little bag over here. Oh, if you don't mind just getting that in the machine. And then, while Chef here is vacuuming the chicken, I'm gonna show you the water displacement method, which is the best way to cook sous vide at home. It requires no additional equipment. We take our chicken breast. I'm gonna form it a little bit, so I want it to be a little round when it comes out. You can also use plastic wrap to form it, and aluminum foil to form it. And I put that in the bag, right there on the bottom. I'm gonna take my glove off for this one.
Okay, so for those that just joined, we have cabbage already in the oven. Sorry, not the oven, in the sous vide
steamer.
The steamer feature. We're working on the chicken, which is going in next.
And we're doing the water displacement method. If you don't have a vacuum machine at home, you take a Ziploc bag, freezer grade Ziploc bag. Anything weaker than freezer grade can degrade in the sous vide bath. So always freezer grade, safest option. You make sure your bag is open. I close it 70% of the way. I leave the center open, and then I put it in my water. And as I put it in, you can see oxygen leaving the bag. The water's pushing it out and forming around the chicken. Look how cool that looks. Now, typically at this point, what would happen to chicken in a Ziploc bag? It's gonna float to the surface. But since we did water displacement and we squeezed out, or it squoze out, or we squeezed out, we got out all that extra oxygen, and now it's just sitting there, just chilling, hanging out. Look at that, it's so happy. And then I seal the top, and I have a sealed chicken breast. And then I have a not water displacement chicken breast. But they're both equal in their greatness. And we're gonna take both of these, we're gonna put them into a 141 steamer, and let it hang out. So we've got our chicken sous vide, we've got our cabbage sous vide. And you're probably wondering, Isaac, what are you doing with cabbage and chicken? What a strange combination. It's actually not a strange combination, so I'm sorry if I misjudged you. It's just, why am I making that on such a beautiful evening, something so heavy? Well, I really love the idea of charred greens, and I feel like charred romaine just doesn't hold up in a salad. It always gets watery, wilted, not enough flavor. So I thought about my next favorite green, and that's cabbage. When you char cabbage, it just becomes so sweet and savory at the same time. It's just like, it's gymnastics in my mouth, and I really enjoy it. And there's nothing I enjoy more than a good Caesar dressing. That's exactly what we're going to make here together. For Caesar dressing, step one is my liquids. I've got red wine vinegar. I don't put lemon juice. I put red wine vinegar. I do put actually a little bit of lemon juice, but I don't make it lemony. I want that super savoriness of the red wine vinegar, that strong bracing acidity. And then we're gonna balance it out with all the other ingredients. We've got garlic, which not just helps with the emulsion, also, come on, what's Caesar without garlic? Then we have some roasted garlic cloves, which are gonna bring the sweetness forward. So we're gonna have the sharpness of the garlic, the raw garlic, we're gonna have the sweetness of the roasted garlic. And on Fleishigs.com, on their fancy app, they have a great recipe for microwave garlic confit. Just search Chef Isaac in the Fleishigs app. Then, we're also gonna add water, because why do we add water? When you put mayonnaise in a blender and you start processing it, you have a very high chance of breaking it, especially if that mayonnaise comes from a kosher company. Sorry guys, it's true, it's a fact. But you wanna know something? Hellmann's can at times also break, but it's just less likely. So I've just gotten to the habit of adding a little water. Happens to be adding a little water also helps mayonnaise dressings pour. There's more than one reason, but kosher companies do need to up their mayonnaise game. You know, like legit, like the Heimish. Not like Hellmann's is great, it's OU, you know, you're good to go. But like, you know, if you know, you know, put it that way. Now, we're gonna add some Dijon mustard. And I like like to add capers to my Caesar dressing. You put capers in your Caesar
I
dressing?
do. I like the salt and the brine is great.
Yeah, I love it. You know what else is salty and briny? Parmesan, which I can't use in a meat dish, but anchovies we can't use as chicken either. Well, that would be nice. But I feel like
This is my secret for a green goddess dressing.
my green goddess is I literally take Caesar, I grind in, and I emulsify it, tarragon, chive, and parsley.
Sure, love it.
Way to go. See? Just met. So here we go.
Bonded over capers.
There we go. Bonded over capers. I'm going to now take this cover. And I'm going to hit start. And I'm going to start blending. Once everything's mostly broken up, I'm going to add the mayonnaise. And this is not really fully broken up because you do need to put a little more product in there, but
We had someone asking, is sous vide worth the bother?
is sous vide worth the bother? I don't know. It's a good question. You know, are you one of those people who like to smoke meat for 36 hours? Are you one of those people who spend all day looking for the best mayonnaise brand? Legit, you guys are out there, I know that. Then yeah, it's worth the bother. It's something you feel passionate about, learning new things in cooking. Is it a mandatory, you must have this in your home? No. There's still so many things sous vide can't do that your stove at home and your oven at home can do. But will sous vide enhance your life? Yes, it definitely will enhance your life. Does it make it easier to make really fancy dinners during the week? 100% it does. Has it completely changed how I cook professionally? Without a doubt. It allows me to do things from a production standpoint that cannot happen conventionally.
Well, you just mentioned dinners in the middle of the week for the average mom making dinner and stuff.
Okay, so for the average mom with a budget that shops at Gourmet Glatt or Breadberry or Prime, all those, and you guys eat steak middle of the week, God bless your souls. Putting your steak in, a big fat cowboy steak in the morning, and then you're taking that cowboy steak and you're coming home at night, and the only thing you gotta do is sear it, and that takes literally 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and you have a beautiful steak dinner, whether that's for yourself or your husband, or if your husband's making it for himself or for his wife. Either way, you're gonna have a delicious gourmet meal that you wanna know something, it might taste better than if you went to a restaurant, except for Mike's Bistro, I grew it, obviously. But it does allow you to make those special occasions a little more special with ease. And it does allow the amateur to become more of a professional. And also, when you get into sous vide, you gotta learn all about things like time and temperature. That's gonna bring you closer closer together in your relationship between you and your food. It's gonna create more intimacy between you and your French roast and your chicken. And that's only gonna lead to better products.
Is there anything that you wouldn't recommend sous vide?
Anything I wouldn't recommend sous vide?
That would do better or not sous vide?
Honestly, you guys are gonna hate me. A good old-fashioned rib roast. It's just so insanely delicious, simply roasted in an oven. Let me just give this a quick blend before I continue this rant. You know what's great about recipes written with a gram scale? Is that every single time I make it, it comes out the same, guys. Honestly, hey, here, chef, give this taste.
Legit.
Yeah.
Delicious.
I mean, it would be a lot better with Parmesan cheese, but, Now I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna put this in a mixing bowl, just like that. And I'm gonna add some fresh herbs to it. I see, this looks like a mix of parsley and chives. I'm gonna add a lot. This looks like tarragon. So the tarragon's a little bruised up because it had to be washed probably for ashgacha, but it still tastes like tarragon. We're gonna mix it up like that. I mean, you know what this looks like to me? A beautiful, beautiful dressing for that charred cabbage. Oh boy, you know what? We're gonna be using this. Not the one that we made beforehand, because we didn't think we'd have enough time. This looks like the real deal. I mean, the one you guys made also looked like the real deal, but, There, put that there. I'm just gonna that there.
You're in the process of ranting about a rib.
Okay,
rib
yes.
steak.
Yeah. Don't run before you can walk. Know how to cook a piece of meat properly. Now, what's going to happen when you're sous videing is you're going to be able to get that properly more consistently with less practice, but still know how to do it the basic way. Besides for keeping food traditions alive, which is something really beautiful about cooking meat over an open flame, that will not be replaced. It's literally happened since the dawn of time. We just did Parshas Noach this week for all you members of the tribe. Right there. Like, what is he doing right when he gets off that ark? I'm pretty sure he lit a fire and roasted himself some animal. I'm sure a lot of you are going to tell me something otherwise, but it's just existed in traditions forever. Sacrifices, fire and flesh, animal flesh, just go really amazingly well together. Not only that, sous vide, when you sous vide a roast, it's coming out perfect medium rare. There's no gradient in temperature. Life is beautiful because it stinks sometimes. And when you're eating a piece of steak and that outside's a little dry, and you're like, uh-oh, chef overcooked it, but then suddenly a millimeter below, 2 millimeters below, it's medium, and you're like, okay, maybe that didn't screw it up completely. Then you get to the center, and it's just warm, perfect medium rare. Outside's got that char, and it's imperfect, but it tastes so good. Because that to me is the soul of cooking. Now, when we're cooking sous vide, like I'm cooking this cabbage, it's not soulless. Because we're gonna add love to it. We're gonna put that on a grill. We're gonna put it in a saute pan. But there's just something about gathering together as friends, as family, and just cooking together, which yes, you can do sous vide, but it's really just not the same. It's not the same as pulling a Thanksgiving roast out of your home oven. But it can be with a wolf oven that allows you to do all these things. But let's be real, Sous vide's great, and it's important that you know how to do it if you're doing this as a profession, or if you're one of those advanced, home cooks. But the reality is there's nothing wrong with just having a pan and fire. Now, before the next question, let me jump into the French roast. Now, French roast, brick roast, strip steak, a 5 pounds Delmonico, apparently. Wrong, but they do it. But then again, it is the 5 pounds. Sorry, Shlomi. We're gonna take this French roast, which, by the way, people sell it as the brick steak, strip steak, and that's great if you like to chew on your meat and really think about it for 20 minutes before you swallow it. So I don't like to do that. I like my steaks to be tender. A little bit of bite, but for the most part tender. And when you take a French roast and you cook it for 24 hours at 135, it is going to be tender. Not just tender, it's going to have all that beefy chuck flavor that you might not even have in a ribeye. So you're gonna have all that beefiness, but with the tenderness of a far more expensive cut. Not that French roast isn't expensive these days, but it once was a more budgeted version of short ribs.
You bring up a good point. What would be the cheapest
Chuck.
roast
Chuck-eye.
that would do well with sous vide?
Chuck-eye. Now this here is brown sugar, a little smoked paprika, a little cayenne, salt, pepper, and this is our rub for our French roast. Why do I put brown sugar in my rub? A, I love the savoriness it brings. But when I'm cooking it, all that brown sugar is gonna melt. It's gonna stay in the bag. But what will stay behind is a thin layer of sweetness, of sugar, that when I put it on that grill, it is going to caramelize. And when you're grilling at home, you cannot always get that delicious caramelized outside without setting up your smoke alarm. So at least if we're gonna set off your smoke alarm, let's get that black, crusty, delicious flavor as soon as possible. And the brown sugar really helps with that. Now, because this is such a big cut, it's not gonna fit into the bag, but I do have a giant Ziploc right here. And yeah, that should, yeah, it should fit. Okay. I totally forgot that I'm doing the water displacement method again. So we're gonna go on a quick trip to the garbage
Seeing
pile.
as you're playing with the Ziploc bag while you get it in there, someone actually asked about the plastic leaching in.
Google it, pick your own side. I'm not here to convert people. At the end of the day, a million articles will tell you it's perfectly safe and there's no leaching. But if you're asking that question, you're not gonna believe me. And you shouldn't. You should Google that. But no, seriously, it's important. We're living in times that are just incredibly divisive. Is that the word? Divisive? I don't know. We're fighting a lot about stupid stuff. Like legit. Most of you are morons, but I love you. I'm a moron too, and I love myself. You should. But we don't have to argue about everything. Sometimes we just gotta pick that other Google moron that we believe. And when we believe that moron, we can follow that moron. And I'll follow my moron. But my moron's in charge. They all say that there's no leaching involved. Especially if you're using freezer Ziploc bags, food saver bags, bags intended for food use. Just like plastic wrap. Not all plastic wrap is created equal. But do your research. Find the moron that you can love and trust and be with forever. And, you know, that's what I did. I mean, that's what a lot of you did with this guy, so sorry, but, you know. We're gonna take this, put this in a 135-degree oven. Sous vide or steam oven, Cabbage oven. That's gonna go for 24 hours. That's a long time to wait for your meat to be ready. But what's great about cooking it in a bag with displaced oxygen, there's less oxygen in the bag. So if you cool it down properly and you don't open that bag, that meat right there can last for a week, even longer in your fridge. And basically when you're ready to heat it up, you can literally go, oh, I've got guests for Shabbos. I literally forgot to cook. But then again, I cooked an extra French roast last Shabbos and I left it in my fridge. I didn't even freeze it. I left it in my fridge. I'm gonna go pop it out right now. I'm gonna throw that on the grill, and you wanna know something? You're a superstar. You didn't even know it. You're a superstar. Now,
Isaac, while you get
we've got
cleared up
everything
here
sous
and
vide.
moving over.
I'm gonna move over.
While you move over, can we get Chef Philip actually does something interesting with soup prep? You want to show us what you got there?
Absolutely, I'll slide it over. So this is a really fun technique that I like to do with soup. So essentially I took 500 grams of any kind of vegetable you like. This is butternut squash, ginger, onion, and garlic. About 400 grams of liquid. You can use vegetable stock, water, chicken stock. So essentially I did part water, part cream, and I set the sous vide mode to 185 degrees in our convection steam oven for about an hour until the butternut squash was nice and tender. And then I pureed it in our Wolf blender, and they really have beautiful results. You don't have to babysit it. You don't have to keep checking it on the stove. You just put it in a sous vide bag, set it for an hour, come back. It comes out really excellent results.
Soup in a sous vide bag.
Soup in a sous vide bag, easy.
Okay.
You know, and yields about a quart of soup.
Awesome.
What's actually also great about soup in a sous vide bag is, you know when you walk by a pot of soup and you smell all that delicious flavor? That's delicious flavor leaving your soup. All those aromatics just boiling out into thin air. Sous vide bag keeps all that flavor inside. And if I was trying to sell you nutritionally, keeps all that in the bag as well. And it legitimately does. Sous vide comes from a place of trying to retain the nutrients in the product. It doesn't come from a place of, oh man, shorts are so good 48 hours later. Now, garlic breadcrumbs for our Caesar. I have a hot pan over here. I'm gonna put some panko in there, coarse panko. And I just realized that salt, oil that I used for and garlic oil that I used for I got over here, a different one, for the chicken. Oh, it's actually the same. I got salt and garlic oil already mixed in here. Wow, you guys are efficient over at Fleishigs. I'm just gonna get this toasted up real quick. And once it's golden brown, I am then gonna add my garlic oil. I mean, the truth is I can add my garlic oil now, and then I have just like fried golden brown breadcrumbs. You know, it's cooking. You really can do whatever you want. But I find that when I add the breadcrumbs after, the breadcrumbs are less greasy. Less greasy is not always less delicious, but if I'm trying to be classy about it. You can also do this in your oven, but I do like to toss my breadcrumbs with garlic after. While this is going,
what's your favorite protein to cook sous vide?
Before I talk about my favorite protein to cook sous vide, I did you guys a major disservice. One of the most important parts of cooking sous vide is cleanliness. Make sure you wash your hands properly. Make sure your cutting board's clean. Make sure your entire surface is clean. You're not cooking at incredibly high temperatures that kill everything on contact. You're cooking at low temperatures. It's not the safest environment. A few notes: raw garlic. If you're not a professional, stay away from it in a vacuum bag. Plus, vacuum bags, which have no oxygen and are low oxygen, allow botulism to thrive in a product like garlic. So you might want to use powder or pre-cooked garlic. If you're not a pro. Pros know time and temperature. They know how to ice it down quick enough. We have more tools. It's better to be safe than sorry.
When you say you're not a pro, if you're following a recipe, does that make you a pro?
If you're following a recipe does not make you a pro. A lot of recipe writers have no idea what they're talking about.
If you're following a recipe by a chef such as yourself,
I would never put raw garlic in a sous vide recipe for a home cook. And take a look at all my Fleishigs recipes. Not a single one. That's why I do so much garlic confit in my kitchen. Because everything I sous vide is sous vide with garlic oil. And by the way, garlic powder has that sharpness. Like powdered spices, they're not a four-letter word. They have a use, and sous vide's a great place to use them. I'm gonna keep toasting this real quick. Almost there. And also, by the way, I had the paper towel here. Step 2, once you got cleanliness, is to dry your meat. You always want dry meat. It happened to be the meat we had here was pretty dry, but I might have actually dried it on camera. I'm not sure, but always dry your meat. Always dry your meat. Okay, now this is brown enough. I'm also losing like my, I'm an impatient kind of guy, but you know what? I'm gonna be a better person. I'm gonna let that brown, give you guys a full show.
Okay, so let's go back to what's your favorite protein to cook?
My favorite protein to cook sous vide? It's vegetables, but that's not a protein. So my favorite protein would probably be short ribs, because the reality is, it's so delicious. Cooked, I do 156, 24 hours. You could do 140, 72 hours, 48 hours. It transformed the meat into something so special, like molten meat cubes. It's just extraordinary. Extraordinary. And it's one thing, we were able to do kosher. That really transformed the product. And it's a nice feeling. Lamb shoulder. I love lamb shoulder too. You can take a lamb shoulder and you can give it the texture of a lamb chop at literally a third the price. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And I just put way too much oil, but I can just drain it out. And right here, so it's actually good. I'll just put a paper towel down right here actually. Yeah. I've made this mistake quite a few times. But I let that lay out just like that, let it absorb a little bit of the extra oil. This is all already in here. That's delicious. I'm into that. Now, let's start finishing our dishes. Then you guys can keep asking as many questions as you want. So, let's start with the charred cabbage. By the way, as you can see, in the Fleishigs test kitchen, they actually did water displacement for everything. So, it's just easier. Now this I'm not going to rinse off because I want all that fat that's on it. I'm going to just put it right on the grill. Oh, you hear that sizzle? Yeah. Means you're doing a good job. Just take a moment, tell yourself, good job. I have over here a rack set up to put my cooked product so it doesn't get soggy sitting on a plate, and it gives somewhere for the liquid to drip. 2 garbages. 3. Now, while we got the cabbage going, let's do the chicken too. And you know what? We're not going to dry off the chicken either. You know why? It's got oil on it. That's going to help it get beautiful color.
So while you're doing this, just give us a quick recap what we're doing for those that joined later.
Well, I've got some sous vide cabbage here grilling. The sous vide cabbage is giving me a molten center with a sweet caramelized outside. I'm about to grill some chicken breast. Sous vide the chicken breast allows me to get a completely different texture at a lower temperature, but still keeping it safe. But at the same time, I'm finishing it on a grill in order to get that delicious grilled flavor. And for those of you who missed out on the Caesar dressing, too bad. It's delicious. And we're going to use that to dress the cabbage. So right now, look at that chicken. You see it's got like a pinkish hue to it? A pinkish coloring to it. Don't be frightened. This is what chicken is supposed to look like. We're just used to mass-produced, mass farming, and we feed our chickens all sorts of weird stuff. But pink chicken is not a bad thing. And it happens to be great chicken, grown behold, let me tell you. This isn't grown behold, I know that. I know a grown behold chicken breast when I see one. This is not a grown behold. Grown behold chicken is next level, like legit. Like beef, you want to talk about beef, price, and this, we can talk. But when it comes to chicken, if you like chicken, I feel like it's really worth that expense. Let's char. Now let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Let's take a peek. It's getting there. It's gonna take a little time. Okay. So while these guys are hanging out, I'm gonna get the brick roast out. Now, For the brick roast, you want to dry it off. You see all that liquid, all those beef juices and sugar. That's not, the juices aren't going to help us caramelize. They double bag their meat. They're extra safe over at the Fleishigs Kitchen. Now, it smells like beef. I can already smell it. It smells like sweaty-ish beef. It's not like the most pleasant smell when you take it out of a sous vide bag. There should be nothing offensive about it, but don't expect it to taste like an oh my god amazing roast.
Would you ever serve sous vide meat without searing before or after?
Would I? Have I? I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of. But I don't like, I need that texture. I need that extra flavor. I need that sous vide. And the truth is, even when I do sous vide beforehand, which is it's a conversation to be had, maybe at another date, I always post-sear, because that brings the meat back to life. Remember when I spoke about fire and soul? That sear brings that spirit to the food. That extra crust, that little burnt edge. There we go, nice and dry. I'm gonna put a little oil on here. I'm gonna put garlic oil actually. Right here. I'm gonna put a little garlic oil on here. It's gonna help with the coloring.
We got someone asking us, home cooks.
Yeah.
What's the best way for them to determine temperature, time?
It's okay. There's thousands of resources online, thousands, and there's Fleishigs has tons of temperature. Start with someone you trust, whoever that is. Don't trust me? Don't use me. Start with a writer, cookbook author you trust, or a magazine or publication you trust. Start there, and then the more you learn, the more you know, and just keep learning. That's the reality.
Do you answer people's questions if they DM you?
Depends how nice they are. And it depends if we have history. And it depends if they're a vlogger. There's a lot of factors when it comes to whether I answer your question. But as a whole, I always answer questions. If your question's stupid, not stupid, there's no stupid questions. If you're telling me and not asking me, you might get an uncomfortable response. You know, it's just, I'm weird about that. I don't like questions. They really make me uncomfortable. But I'm working on myself, guys. Maybe it'll give me a couple months, you know. But I will answer your questions if they're to the point. Not what's my favorite thing to sous vide, because every day that changes. Or give me a good idea. You give me the good idea. I'm gonna help make it a reality for you. I'm gonna walk you through it. But you gotta have some effort put in. Because part of cooking is that when you're done putting in all that work, the food tastes so much better when you're serving it to people you love and you're eating it yourself. When you don't put that same amount of work in, it loses some of its luster. So I don't want to take that away from you. I need you guys to do a little bit. What's next on the question roster while we have everything browning over here?
Someone was just asking the name of the cut of meat.
This is a brick roast, French roast, or a 5 pounds Delmonico. 5 pounds Delmonico. Also known as a kosher strip steak, kosher brick steak. I think people call this a Denver steak. Even it's not though, but I mean, maybe it is.
Lo and Behold, I think started at.
Yeah, Lo and Behold started it. That's probably accurate. But you know.
Are we making steak tonight, or are we making?
I'm gonna cook it out of the roast, and then I'm gonna slice it when it's got that beautiful color. Okay.
Where are we at? What else do we need to still cook?
Oh, right now everything's browning. Everything's ready to go.
We're ready to plate?
Ready to plate. I just, you know, it does take time on a home grill. You know, this is not built for a commercial kitchen where it's gonna blow everything up. The chicken's getting there.
You're going for both sides?
I'm gonna just mark the other side just to warm it through.
Okay, can we talk about what is your favorite? I know the answer, but most people here don't. What's your favorite vegetable to sous vide?
Onion, probably eggplant, onion, cabbage. I mean, it changes day to day. Both onion and eggplant are transformative, as well as cabbage when it comes to grilling it. Phil, do you have a cast iron pan by any chance?
I have a cast iron.
That would be, can I get it ripping hot? Sometimes these home grills are like, especially this one's electric, they don't get hot enough. But we're getting there. I have a blowtorch? No, this works. This works perfectly.
I'm not sure what the question is, but someone's asking if you're going to eat the chicken. I don't see why not.
Would I eat the chicken? I mean, I would. Why not?
The plan is to eat the chicken.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I eat the chicken?
Oh, they're asking if it's too long. Is it going to be dry? Oh.
Oh, this is a great thing about sous vide. Right now, the middle of this chicken is ice cold. So the outside is getting slowly crisp on this grill. It's not such high heat. By the time I flip it, the inside will still be cold. A minute later, the inside will finally be like above room temperature where I want it, and the outside will carry through and give it that heat that we need when we eat hot food. You're not going to get very hot chicken. You're going to get above warm chicken. But those people that always ask to have their food microwaved, you know, sous vide might not be for you.
So this technique that you're showing today is more for a salad, room temp kind of...
No, not at all. This works great for hot chicken. Chicken that grew at a sous vide, then we finish it on the griddle, and the inside's piping hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have someone asking about slicing the roast.
Yeah, against the grain. Slice it against the grain. Or you can slice it against the grain into steaks and cook it like steaks. That's an option as well.
Chef Philip actually just took it's the equivalent of a strip steak.
So essentially this is just
That's
a New York strip. I did rosemary, thyme, bay leaf, a little bit of garlic. I vacuum sealed it really to intensify the flavor.
He's a pro, so he can use garlic.
That's it. To intensify the flavor. I sous vide it at 130 because I want it nice and pink inside. I took it out and then on our induction burner, gave it a really beautiful hard sear. You can see it really produces excellent results. And if you cut this open nice and pink in the inside.
We'll do that soon.
I can stir on the induction?
Huh?
I can stir on the induction?
No, well, with the pan.
Oh,
Not directly on it,
I was
no.
like, that's pretty awesome.
No.
I'm like, if you're doing that, I want to do that right now.
So your pan is smoking now. That's pretty good.
All right, let's get that cabbage on there.
Okay, so we're just moving over from the grill to the
You know, not all
induction.
grills are created equal, you know? It is what it is.
So essentially, we took our induction burner, we bridged the two burners together, which allows us to put the whole cast iron, which allows the whole cast iron to get hot with our bridge feature.
So there's heat in the middle as well?
So
Oh.
it bridges the two together. You see?
That's super cool.
Yeah.
You don't see that every day, by the way. An induction that bridges the two burners. That's super cool.
You usually have that gap in the middle.
Correct.
Oh wow.
That's impressive. I'm into that. Very into that.
We're in New York City, so in New York City we can't be doing the outdoor grilling. We have to head to the New
And you
Jersey
know-
showroom.
You know, we also offer a really high-end char broiler, but unfortunately this building does not allow us to have gas, so we have to do an electric kettle. But our char broiler produces unbelievable results as if you're using an outside grill. Get the beautiful char flavor. Really excellent.
Isaac, we have a good question for you.
This is some color. I needed more color than this, but I'm just going to flip it over and keep going back and forth.
Yeah, we have an interesting question for you. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to leave it to you. You're using the same utensils for chicken.
Everything's fully cooked
meat.
already.
There we go. Say that again.
Everything's fully cooked already.
That's
Now, the reality is, should you be doing this at home? It's fine. In a professional environment, I would have a different tong for every item, and my tong is sitting in a bain-marie. But cooking at a food demo, everything's fully cooked. I really don't see any food health risks. But you know, live your life, do your research.
I think that's the misconception people have. My mother-in-law, if anything looks pink, she goes crazy. So like anything sous vide is fully cooked.
No, it's not nice to call our mother-in-law crazy.
I didn't say she's crazy, I said she goes crazy.
Freudian, you know, your mind hears what you want it to hear, you know? I mean, it's getting there. I'm done with blowtorch, dude. But this one looks like it's going to be the winner. I'm actually going to start plating our chicken up right now. Now, I'm going to take my chicken, I'll put it on a cutting board. mean, nice little slices. You see that? That middle? Like, here, let's just get down to business. Take a look at that. Look at that. Look how juicy that is, right? That look like dry chicken? The commenter number 1572? Like, pretty juicy to me, right? Not only that, I'm using my hand because I want to feel the temperature, and it's warm. Now, I realize this is Fleishigs demo over here. I can't just slice chicken. Let me cut it fancy. Fancy and wasteful. So, go like this, go like that, go like this, straighten out that side. Okay, there we go, great. Cut it down the middle. Then we can go like this, we can go like this. 2 pieces. Maybe we'll put this somewhere on top. It's crispy skin. Why not? You know, they're all watching me. You know, I gotta make it as complicated as possible for the plating.
You can charge more if you cut it that way,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's the whole point. Then we take this cabbage, we put it on a plate just like that. Now. No. I said I'm using this. I'm using this. This is not a big enough spoon for Caesar dressing either. Let's go. Right here. A wallop of a scoop, just like that. I mean, it doesn't even need the chicken, by the way. Just like this. It's looking pretty appetizing to me.
Someone couldn't get over the pinkness of the inside of the chicken. It's really not pink. Maybe the lighting is.
It's definitely pinkish, but you know.
But we're like, I mean, it's guaranteed that it's fully cooked.
It's guaranteed that it's healthy if you follow the instructions. But again, you know, to each their own. You know, everyone's got a different preference. I don't like blue cheese. I'm gonna finish off with some garlic breadcrumbs. I probably should have asked for some like fresh herbs, but that would definitely like finish the plate off. I already like the.
What do you like?
What do you got? You got chives? Oh yeah. Ooh, and chives too.
Isaac, what are we calling this dish?
Chicken Caesar. No, it's Chicken Caesar 2.0 actually. You know what? Actually, because this cutting board's dirty and it's gonna be kind of hard to make it like super fancy tiny. We're just gonna do like sticks and pretend it's intentional, like, you know. That, a little bit of that. I think that's good. You want to put a little chive oil? Put a little chive oil. But right here, we got sous vide chicken, sous vide cabbage. Let's call it sous vide Caesar. That's cute, sous vide Caesar. Next, we got this French roast. Don't be sorry. Oh, hold on.
Oh, crispy skin.
Crispy chicken skin. Hey, let me put one over there.
Be honest. Was this part of the plan?
No, just, you know, just having fun. We're vibing. We're vibing together, guys. Just like that. Yeah, I mean, I would eat that. Look, and putting the word sous vide in it, you can charge over 20 bucks for this, you know? If it was just chicken Caesar, you know, then it's not as profitable. Now, we got the steak to carve up. I'm gonna give it a quick little, ooh. I mean, it smells like beef, right? Absolutely. It smells good. Absolutely. I would tell you guys if it sucked. I really would.
We have people who just tuned in like over the last 10 minutes. They want to know what we're making.
Well, we made a sous vide Caesar with charred sous vide cabbage, poached chicken breast that was finished on the grill, and we also have a French roast brick roast 5 pound Delmonico over here, which we did a rub on, 135 Fahrenheit, 24 hours. Give it a quick little kiss on the flat top over here. And by the way, this was resting all night. You don't gotta rest it now after searing. It's ready to cook right into. Now what I like to do, so I can get normal, manageable slices, I start by cutting it in half. I mean, like, oh my god. But it's not as impressive when you do it in a sous vide bath, but still, oh my god, that's pretty cool, right guys? Now, I'm gonna, I mean, look how that knife just goes through, you know? I'm not gonna say like butter, because let me tell you, butter is pretty soft. I don't want my beef to be like butter. I want my beef to have a little texture. You know, before anything, you know, let me. Say if I ate it first, you know.
Delicious.
It's tasty.
Just the right amount of chew. Perfect.
Yep. Meat should have texture. And happens to be, it's well seasoned too. I'm not even gonna add finishing salt. It's where it needs to be. Fleishigs Test Kitchen, out of the park, guys. This was prepped for me, so you know, just giving credit where it's due. Let me take the steak, get on that platter. And you know what's great about great steak? You don't need a sauce. I mean, that's the truth about great cabbage and great chicken, but something about beef just on its own being this delicious, beautiful cut. I mean, look at that. Look at
The color on that meat is gorgeous.
and you see the marbling is still there and present, and it's just right here. We have sous vide, French roast, brick roast, 5 talent de Monaco. By the way, you've probably heard me say this before if you've been around the block following the Isaac Bernstein Chronicles. This is amazing as a Shabbos day cold steak salad. You can treat this as a high-end London broil that won't break the bank. I mean, this is great cold, warm, it's good hot. It really is an amazing and versatile cut of meat to sous vide. And yeah, enjoy it.
Great, Isaac. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
It
me.
smells incredible here. I'm sure that the few people that are here are going to be really excited to dig in. The recipes will be in the upcoming dinner issue, and for those that are asking, the live will be saved. Thanks for joining, and good night, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.